Today's show is brought to you by adamandeve.com. Go to adamandeve.com right now and you'll get 50% off just about any item. All you have to do is enter the code word GLORY, Glory, at checkout.
Be advised that this show is not for children, the faint of heart, or the easily offended. The explicit tag is there for a reason.
Recording live from Glory Hole Studios?
It is Glory Hole Studios.
Glory Hole Studios. Here's the thing, guys.
Yeah.
Glory Hole Studios is an idea.
Yeah.
It's a social construct, right?
Yeah.
This is an idea that we have, and in my heart, I know I'm in Glory Hole Studios.
Tom.
Yeah.
Home is when I'm with you, buddy.
Oh, if I still had a heart, I'd feel something. But I don't. Because the murder hornets ate it. This is Cognitive Dissonance. Every episode we blast anyone who gets in our way. We bring critical thinking, skepticism, and irreverence to any topic that makes the news, makes it big, or makes us mad. It's skeptical, it's political, and there is no welcome mat. This is episode 528 of Cognitive Dissonance. And see, so this week I was having a conversation online with somebody who asked if with everything going on with Biden and his milquetoast support, to be the most gentle way to say, his milquetoast support for the Black Lives Matter movement, am I still blue no matter who? And I just want to say, the other guy's still Trump. Like, the other guy is that's the thing that, like, I'll never get over. Like, the other guy in the content, there's two, like, and the conversation was like, well, wouldn't you prefer, like, I'd prefer a lot of things.
Oh, yeah, I would prefer a lot.
But you can take
things.
all of my preferences, roll them into a ball, and shove them up my ass, and I'm going to waddle over and push Biden on the fucking voting thing.
You bet.
Because it's not the answer Trump. Like, what the fuck? Like, yes, more than ever, I'm voting. That's the thing, is that, like, the answer isn't just yes. This whole thing, it makes that yes more a yes than any other yes I've ever yesed. Because Biden didn't get better, but Trump somehow got worse.
That's so true. It's so true.
How could you get worse?
One of the things, too, is, yes, it's milquetoast support, right? It's not, but I'll tell you what. Wasn't it refreshing to see somebody who felt presidential in those moments? Out there talking to protesters, talking at the funeral, all those things that you would think, a president would be able to do. At least that felt refreshing. When you talk about what the other guy did, I mean, like, he fucking hid in his fucking bunker and built a wall around the White House.
Yeah.
Like, like
it's a choice between Biden, who said some very problematic things. Like, he said something about, like, well, maybe we need to teach the police to shoot people in the leg instead of in the chest. And you're
but that's also that's cut out of context.
It's out of context.
It's totally out of context. And it's not that I'm defending Biden. I think Biden is gaff. He's like an error code. Like, his entire fucking brain is an error code. So I'm not trying to say, oh yeah, Biden, whatever. But, like, at the same time, it's also cut out of context, specifically by people who don't like Biden and want Biden to lose.
Absolutely. So, like, I think it's important, like, no matter, you can take all the stuff you don't like about Biden and all of it, we can say, just off the top, we just say, that's legitimate.
Yeah.
Put it in a bucket. The other guy tear-gassed peaceful protesters so that he could have a photo op with an upside-down Bible outside a church he doesn't go to.
I'll tell you what, and then brag about how easy it was to gas them. Today, he did on Twitter.
Wait,
he bragged
what?
He bragged about how easy it was. They had no problem. Hold on, I'll read the tweet.
While you're looking for the tweet, like, Was there ever a counter assertion that we thought it was difficult to gas people?
Yeah, that's exactly it. He said, our great National Guard troops who took care of the area around the White House could hardly believe how easy it was. A walk in the park, one said. The protesters, agitators, anarchists, Antifa, and others were handled very easily by the Guard, DC Police, and the SS, or Secret Service.
So
but he abbreviated SS.
What?
Great job.
Did he really?
So, he really genuinely said the SS. And so I just want to say, one,
what is happening?
We are in a world where the president is praising the SS. That's number one. But number two,
Praising them for their violent police action.
Just like you said, how hard shit. It's like, man, I fucking kicked that fucking baby and took his candy. It was so fucking easy. It was fucking easy. Let me tell you, he had one lick on that lollipop and it only took 3 licks to get to the center. 3. I counted after I took it from him and he was crying and I laughed. Fuck that baby.
Yeah, like, it was easy when I called in 3 separate paramilitary organizations to beat up peaceful protesters.
Yeah,
they really whooped some ass.
I'll tell you, I in a fight, I'm taking Conor McGregor over Gandhi. That's all, and it's not the reach, guys. It's not the reach advantage. Okay, it's unbelievable.
It's not like the moral advantage, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't.
It's unbelievable.
Holy shit!
But yeah, that's exactly what happened. So you're right. But the other thing I hear from the other side, the people who are, I don't know, don't care who president is, I guess, will say, all you have to tell me is that he's not Trump. That's why you're voting for him. And it's like, I think that's enough. I genuinely think that's enough. If you don't, that's fine. I'm not, I'm kind of sick and I'm done trying to beg people to vote in this election, to find their moral compass and vote. If you don't vote, that's up to you, man. I'm not gonna beg you to vote for him. I know that there's people who listen to the show who are absolutely Bernie or bust, and it's 100% Bernie or I won't vote at all. And that's fine. You do you. You do you. Hopefully you're from a blue state where it doesn't matter. That's my great hope that that's where you're from. But, the thing is like, I'm not here to beg you to vote for him. And I also genuinely recognize that Biden is problematic and when it comes to the sexual assault allegations and things like that. And so I'm not going to beg people to vote for him, but I'm going to say, like, I recognize the choice between the two and I have to choose the most moral one. And I think the most moral one is voting against Trump.
And like any suggestion that this is not a 2-party race is just not honest.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
It's just not. And it would be great if it was honest. It would be awesome if there was a third. Like all those things about like, wouldn't it be great if? Yes, absolutely. It would be fucking amazing if. But like, amazing if isn't the reality of. And you have to operate within the practical reality of the day that we're fucking living in. And like, you have a guy who I just learned from you unironically tweeted about how he sent in the SS to beat up people.
Yeah.
What? And it's not like the SS stood for like, Snoopy and Snowflakes. Instead, it was like the Secret Service, like they went in, they're the Secret Service. The secret police.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
No.
Idiot.
John, I'm not interrupting, am I?
Matt Timber, no, come in.
Good. Good work, gentlemen, all the way around.
Thanks.
Could I get in on that?
Sure, why not?
Hey.
Good work, officer. We got a murder one day, a drug bust the next. I'm thinking, we need as much police as we can get. That'd be a good slogan, wouldn't it?
Tell that to the budget committee.
Give me a gun, huh? To hold for the pictures? Because when the governor shows up, I'm going to throw her a little party. We're going to let her know just how this community feels about its law enforcement. Mm-hmm. Spread it on.
I know you and I want to talk about defund the police, but the thing that I want to lament before we do is the nomenclature, the naming, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible naming because it's one of those things that's on its face sounds like something it's not.
Yeah.
And like that makes
that's not necessarily true. There are some people who say 100% defund the police.
Yeah,
there are people out there who say that.
Absolutely. So, but like the majority opinion about what defund the police is trying to accomplish is not the same as disband the police, right?
Sure.
Or eliminate
Yeah.
the police.
Yeah.
I know that there are calls for that, but that's not the majority of the call.
Yeah.
The problem with like, if you're a politician and there's a movement which has a name that without any research suggests something, we're a headlines country.
Yeah.
We're a social media driven headlines country. Most people don't click and read the article. Most people don't do any research. Defund the police sounds like disband the police. It sounds one and the same. And like when you say that, most people aren't going to get behind that. So most politicians aren't going to be able to stand up and say, let's have a nuanced conversation about what this actually means, because people don't read, they don't listen, they don't research. It's bad nomenclature.
I think there's part of me that agrees with you. And I have seen a ton of pushback about this, especially on Facebook, people asking, what the hell, why would you defund the police? And you're absolutely right that the other side is taking it and running with the straw men, right? They're saying, oh, well, they want a lawless society. They want Mad Max. They want, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And so they're running with it. Now, they were going to run with that anyway, right? So they were going to say, even if you cut $1 of the police budget, they're going to scream it's Mad Max tomorrow. So it doesn't matter whether you lower the funds, defund, or abolish. They're all in the same page on the far right anyway. And you were never going to win those people over with whatever nomenclature you chose. Those people weren't your people, right? So the people on the far right, you're not going to convince them about anything. They're the law and order group, and they're not going to be swayed. So I don't know that it affects that. But one thing that we have done over the years is we've said things like police reform. We're going to have police reform. We're going to use softer language. And we say it all the time. We're going to do this. Oh, we're going to restructure. Oh, we're going to have citizen review boards. Oh, we're going to have this and we're going to have this. And nothing works. Everything always falls apart, and we give more and more money, and we give by fucking Humvees and fucking Lamborghinis and Teslas and fucking give them fucking Spec Ops rifles and fucking a bunch of fucking brand new toys that can electrocute you 6 ways from Sunday, and we let it flow out of control all the time. And there's been plenty of softer language that we've used, and it's failed. So there's part of me that agrees with you, and there's other part of me that says maybe the harsher language and the language that stops people and goes, what the fuck? Defund the police. What the fuck? Maybe that's actually good.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a good thing to shake you up, to say, wait, what? What now? Oh, now I got to look at it. And now I got to have, like you say, a nuanced idea about it. Because we have police reform is a thing that we've said how many times?
Right.
And it's never happened. The only time it's ever done, the reform has been buy them a new bulletproof car.
No, I hear you. And like, I hear that. It just feels like if you want to get the politicians on board, they have to stand in front of a banner, and they have to be able to make a headline, because like, we're just not a smart fucking species.
I will say that's true. Yeah.
And it's depressing that like one thing I know is that branding is important.
Sure.
Like, it's really, really important. And like, if you misbrand something, you run the risk of like tanking a really great product or idea just because, the brand wasn't well presented. And I hate that, because it's the dumbest part of being fucking human. But like, goddamn, man, like, I wonder if it was like fucking police reform and it had all the same sub items underneath it that we're going to talk about when it comes to defund the police, but we had a better headline, I wonder if we'd get more people in front of it. Like, more people in power, more people pushing to the moderates, more people trying to appeal. You know what I mean? And like, we shouldn't have to do that. And it's fucking annoying and it's frustrating, but I think we have to do that, because like you say, like, we're so divided. The far left is always going to want this. The far right is always going to want that. So the only thing that like gets anything done is the middle. Like, the only thing that is like open for sway is the middle, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other thing too is that we're approaching this from a very white angle. You and I are approaching this from an angle that is privileged. In our experience throughout our life, the police have not been a force that has tormented us. They've been an annoyance to us, right? But I've never had a gun pulled on me by the police. Have you?
No.
Never in your life.
No.
I listened to plenty of stories in the last several weeks of 6-year-olds getting a gun pulled on them just because they were black. So there's a feeling in that community that defund the police is 100% correct. That's the right language. That's how you get those people on board, because they don't want to hear reform anymore. They don't want to hear about that stuff anymore, because to them, that's an occupying force, an arm of the government that does nothing but torment them.
Yeah.
And that's all it does. And these are people that are just as innocent as anyone else. They just happen to live in an area that happens to have a lot of crime, but they might not be somebody who has committed a crime at all. And they'll be tormented because they're automatically presumed to be a criminal. And so to them, that language is perfectly fine.
The problem is, like, fucking old white people are still in charge.
Yeah.
So, like, we can't accomplish big things without old fucking shitty white people saying yes to it. And I wish we could, because that's fucked up, because that's supremely, massively awful, and it's fucked up. But like, it's still a country run by old white men. It just is. And like, if they all say no, then the answer's going to be no, you know? And like that,
and it's the people who you vote in.
Yeah,
it's the people who you vote in, and there's nothing you can do about that. And you're stuck with this. And just like how we're talking about Biden a few minutes ago, there's no other choice. It almost was like there was an illusion of choice.
Yeah.
He was slated to win from the very beginning, and he won. Right?
It was weird.
Even though he did terribly in the debates, every time I saw him debate, I thought, Jesus, get him off the stage. He's the worst one up there. Every single time I thought he was the worst one up there.
Yeah.
And he still won. He was ahead the entire time. There was never a moment that Biden came down and was replaced, I don't think, by anybody else. Nobody took the lead. Some people won different states, but I don't think anybody took the lead from him for the whole thing. It was just basically the illusion of choice. Like, you had the illusion of that you got a bunch of other people, but we really didn't give you anything. Now, don't get me wrong. I think they pulled him left. I think that pulled him left. I think he's farther left than when he got on that stage. Yeah. But we didn't know. We certainly didn't get Kamala Harris. Like, that's not somebody who we got. That we get to choose from, right? So like, there's, so anyway. So, but yeah,
I agree with you.
You're right.
You're right. He got pulled left. He got pulled from like neocon to con. Like,
right. Well, but I understand your point. I it's not lost on me the fact that, we live in a system that you can't change. It's got to incrementally change. It can't change overnight. There's nothing you could do to change it overnight. We had a black president, and we still have all the same problems with a lot of the same stuff that we had. You can't just change it overnight. And so I feel like, you have to do incremental change. And I think, I see it both ways. I see merit to the idea that we need to wake people up and slap them with the defund the police idea. I also see the merit in maybe we need to rebrand so that that it gathers more people, and so more people are behind it. But regardless, I think the idea is sound.
Yeah, me too.
I think the idea is sound. You talk about defund the police, and people don't know what it is. But we talked a little bit about it last week when I talked about the quote about abolishing the police, which is where instead of saying, the police do all these disparate jobs that we ask of them, go be a mental health care worker, go be an addiction counselor, go be a domestic violence and domestic abuse counselor, go be a guy who handles homeless people on the street, a homeless person counselor, and also catch criminals, write tickets, all the things that we ask them to do.
Corral wild dogs.
Yes, exactly. We ask them We ask them to do a ton of stuff.
Right.
And instead, what we should do is specialize and say, okay, we have a person who's a counselor who can go out and help a homeless person who's having some sort of episode. We have somebody who can do that work instead of a police officer, because there's been reports of police officers in the past, their only real training is to be violent. And so they go out and they have somebody who's having like a mental breakdown, and they kill the person.
Yeah.
And that's happened before, where somebody who is not mentally all there gets murdered by the police because they don't have any other tools in their toolbox.
Yeah. Well, like, they literally have a utility belt full of weapons.
Yeah.
And
It's all weapons.
Like, we've talked about
this. There's no book in there. They don't pull a book out of that and read. It's not a manual. What they have is a fucking shocker, a sprayer, and a shooter.
That's a beater. Don't forget about the hitter.
And a holder.
Yeah.
They don't have anything else.
And then if all that runs out, they've got a radio to call a bunch of people that have all the same tools.
Yeah, I gotta know a bunch of other guys with shooters I can call.
Right.
Yeah.
They'd be like, hey man, I need a screwdriver. It's like, I got a hammer.
Yeah.
Well, what if that doesn't work? I can call 10 more guys with hammers. Like that's
exactly it.
What?
Yeah.
Well, what if that doesn't work?
Turns.
I can call 20 more guys with hammers. How many hammers do you need? It's
We just keep beating on it. Is it fixed yet?
Yeah. I have been building this mom until it's pulp.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, at a certain point, you've reforged it into a new screw.
You know, it's like, it is fucking crazy because, like, you know, we send social workers to every neighborhood imaginable, right? To check on families in every mode of distress imaginable. And they show up armed with a clipboard and a pen.
Yeah.
And they manage to do their job, rarely killing anyone. Like social workers go out and do incredible, heroic work. And one of the problems with social work is that they are horrifyingly, criminally underpaid and overworked. There are far too few of them. Far, 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 far too few of them. Their caseloads are very, very high. And it's sort of like everything else we've ever learned but refused to do about like how to fix major public health problems, right? And institutional problems, which is prevention is cheaper and more effective than treatment. It is every single time in every case. There's never an exception to that sentence. And like an army of social workers and public health workers and mental health workers, an army of people seeking to eradicate poverty would destroy the crime issue. I mean, like there would still be crime. There will always be crime, right? Because just people are fucked up. But like it would decimate. It would absolutely decimate because it is easier to prevent. And we have had research into why there is crime. And we've had the same suggestions on how to like address this for 60 years. To defund the police and like decentralize those tasks into a group of trained specialists. That's not new. People have been talking about this since the 60s. They've been talking about this since the 30s. They've been talking about this since the 19-teens, depending on what research you read.
And, you know, the other thing that people will say is they'll say, well, you know, because again, you're approaching it from a perspective that's very privileged, which is the police are here to help you, right? So that's the perspective that you approach it. And you say something like, well, who are you going to call when something goes wrong? And you got to say to yourself, a lot of times right now, the people that live in the areas that are where the police treat them as if they're automatically criminals don't call the police in the first place.
They don't call anybody.
They don't call anybody, or they'll call their brother to come over and help if somebody's trying to break in their house. Have you ever read the book Gang Leader for a Day?
Yeah, great book. Yeah.
Yeah. So in that book, they talk about the Robert Taylor homes.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Robert Taylor homes, which were on the south side of Chicago, the police didn't even go in there. You could call them. They just literally never show up.
They'd be like, okay.
So we already have a system right now where they have demonstrated over and over again that having the system doesn't help. It doesn't do anything, right? You have the system and it just doesn't do anything. So you could call the police and they won't even show up to your place. So, you know, to have things change and to shift away from that, you know, to a lot of people, it's not a loss. It's not a loss if that doesn't happen anymore. I want to talk too about, I think that you could cut things down, like you say, with the moment you start creating prevention techniques and you start giving people things that they need when they need them, rather than sending, you know, if it's a drug offense and somebody did the drugs and now they're ODing or they're, you know, freaking out on something, like there's plenty of people who have to deal with somebody who is mentally unstable and they don't kill them, right? Mm-hmm. There's plenty of people who have to do that. Nurses, mental health professionals have to deal with people who are having some severe issues.
Friends and family do it all the time.
And yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right. Yeah, like, you know, friends and family do it all the time. So, you know, you save a lot of lives and save a lot of frustration. Because the police, there's even police officers who say, yeah, no, this is a good idea. I do a lot of shit I shouldn't have to do.
Well, and you're not trained to do. Like, that's the thing. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if you have, so I've had experience, or people that I've loved and cared for have had psychotic breaks, and I've been called to try to help. And like, it is frustrating because there's a moment where you're like, fuck, I'm just some guy and I don't know what to do, and you don't know who to call, right? So what you do is you call 911, and then you don't know who's going to show up. Is it going to be an ambulance?
Yeah.
Is it going to be police?
Ambulance? Yeah.
You know, is it,
Fireman?
And so like, wouldn't it be great if when you picked up the phone and you said, yes, there is an emergency. There is an emergency. And a social worker comes. A mental health worker comes. Because you could call 911 and you could describe the problem, right? In a way that let them route that to somebody who's actually specialized in helping with that problem. Somebody who's like trained in de-escalating. Somebody who's got like, you know, a skill set that matches the problem. Instead, like it just gets routed, and more often than not, the police show up and they're like, great, I got a utility belt full of weapons. Does anybody need a guy with a bunch of weapons? That's the thing that I am.
Yeah.
And then when they are the other things, and let's be fair, because a lot of times they do the other jobs, they're fucking winging it sometimes. They're fucking winging it because that's not what they're trained for, because they are trained for law enforcement. And so outside of looking for law enforcement, you know, processes to engage in, they're winging it the same way you and I are winging it. They just have authority.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, the budget that they have, the money that comes in is huge in almost every place. In, you know, you start looking at city budgets and look at how much the police get, and look at the militarization. It was also another thing that's happened in the last, you know, I was
30 years.
reading about it. It's more than 30, because it was the Watts riots that created the first SWAT teams, right? Because the Watts riots, there were snipers and people shooting other people. And so they had to, they realized that they needed they thought they needed a force that could combat something like that. Not the fact that, you know, maybe we shouldn't have sniper rifles available to the public. That never occurred to anybody.
Yeah,
Instead,
I love
what
that
they
that's
did
never the solution,
that's
right?
never the solution. Instead, it's, well, if they have sniper rifles, we need bigger sniper rifles. And so that's what they did. The same thing happened when that shooter climbed that tower in the one I'm talking about. He shot a bunch of people. The police couldn't get to him. And the same thing happened, I'm sure, when those guys went crazy in LA. Remember when they had all those guns and they did the movie Heat off of, you know, that basically is, you know, that's another reason they go with that tape to the budget guy and they say, look, we can't get through their armor. We need stuff that pierces their armor. We need stuff that does this. We need stuff, not the other way around, that God, they got a hold of all these guns. Maybe we shouldn't make these publicly available. Instead, it's, no, what we need is to make sure that we could get through the guns and the whatever that they have. So, you know, do you remember, I'm sorry, but do you remember like the Bugs Bunny and Marvin the Martian? Yeah, yep.
Characters?
That's exactly it, yep.
Do you remember like,
pull the gun and the gun and the gun and gun and gun
until they're like outside of like it's out, space.
Yeah, it's space, yeah.
It's like it's like an arms race where we never realized like the other side could just not be armed.
Yeah.
And that's never part of the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is just like, I'm going to have a gun from space that shoots more space at the other guy. Like, I shot a planet at your face.
If you hid Marvin the Martian's gun, it never goes past round one. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
If he doesn't have you hit his gun, it never goes past. But anyway, the fact is that the militarization of these police departments happens primarily because we allow people to have fucking rocket launchers in this country, but you know, you see it happen over and over and over again, and the police constantly are upping this militarization, and then what they have is a giant toolbox. And I also did you listen to the Behind the Bastards this last week or 2 weeks ago about that guy who does that killology course that he teaches to cops?
No, I didn't hear that. But I watched something else about the killology.
So, you know, this guy creates this course about how you basically need to be able to murder somebody because your life's on the line. And it teaches people a different mindset. It teaches the police, at least the police who take this course, a different mindset about how you interact with another person. It's not
teaches them to be predators.
Exactly.
Is the language he uses.
Well, it teaches them the same thing we teach soldiers, which shouldn't be taught to them. They're not dealing with other soldiers. It's not an enemy combatant out there. It's a person who's stealing a TV or whatever, you know?
But soldiers do a better job in a combat zone of following the rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And they do a better job because they're held to a higher standard of behavior. Because if you're a soldier and you violate the rules of engagement, you don't have a fucking union protecting your ass. So you actually get better, more humane results in a war zone.
Yeah.
From soldiers who are trained, by the way, they're trained, and a culture of racism against the enemy is ingrained when you have an enemy, right? One of the things you do is you otherize the enemy in order to make them a less than human to get you to pull the fucking trigger. So that's like all part of the fucking indoctrination. Still, even with that, in a war zone, soldiers are able to follow the rules of engagement and behave more civilly, more consistently than the police.
That doesn't surprise me.
Domestically.
Doesn't surprise me.
Part of that problem is the accountability issue.
Yeah. Well, did you see the fucking union boss this last week? The union head or chief? Somebody edited it. Somebody did a great job of editing it. Let me see if I can find it and share it with you real quick.
Everybody's trying to shame us. The legislators. The press.
Oh my God.
Everybody's trying to shame us. Into being embarrassed. Oh my fucking God. Well, you know what? This isn't stained. It's still got a shine on it. Stop treating us like animals and thugs. Start treating us with some respect. It's disgusting. Trying to make us embarrassed of our profession. Don't resist, don't resist, don't resist. Don't resist, bro. I'm not. And that's all I have to say.
So the police chief union guy, he's if he isn't fucking mobbed up, I don't know who the fuck isn't mobbed up the way he talks, right? He sounds so, start treating us with some respect over here. And I'll put a link to it in the show notes this week about this police union guy. And they edited the footage so that you could see the footage of this police union guy talking. And while he's talking, they're showing the cops just beating the shit out of people.
Beating the shit out of people who are like, not doing anything
literally
at
just
all.
Protesting, exercising their fucking their constitutionally protected amendment rights, getting the shit kicked out of them by police officers. And he's talking about how you're trying to shame us. How dare you try to shame us? All these different people are trying to shame us.
Be ashamed of.
Motherfucker, if somebody holds a mirror up to you and you feel ashamed, that's on you. That ain't on the mirror, motherfucker.
I know, right? I love too that like in that video, like his body posture is like violent and angry.
Yep.
And he's just like, you're making us all look like angry thugs.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
Exactly.
Like his shirt rips off, and he's green, he's wearing purple shorts, and he's fucking shit up.
It's unreal. But the thing is that the police union,
so unself-aware.
The police union is protecting people left and right. You see that, and it's not just the police union. There's a brotherhood of police officers who will not turn in someone else. And when someone does turn someone in, they drum them out of the police department. They harass them until they quit. That happens all the time. There's a brotherhood of bad people who do bad things, and we constantly just let them do it in the name of security.
Well, and
it's not even good security.
It's a terrible security because we're less secure. Like, it's like a security against nothing.
It's the TSA. They're the TSA.
Yeah. Two things like, first of all, like, constitutionally protected is no longer protected.
Yeah.
Like, we are not protected. Like you guys just like, we got to let that shit, we got to like acknowledge it and say it out loud. Like, you don't have a First Amendment right when the cops can show up and beat the fuck out of you for exercising it.
Yeah.
That's not a protected right anymore.
Yeah.
That's a privilege that the thugs will take away.
Whenever they can, whenever they want.
Jackbooted fucking thugs will decide whether you get it or don't.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fucking privilege.
Yeah.
Fed to you at the hands of your fucking master. And I hate that kind of language, but they demonstrated that it's goddamn true.
It's 100%. And
it just is.
And the other side, when they're finished, will get on their knees and lick those boots clean because it agrees with their ideology. And if it doesn't agree with their ideology, they're 100% standing right next to you, screaming in that cop's face. But the moment it agrees with their ideology, they're like, no, let me clean off those boots for you, sir.
Yep. And like, if you have any doubt that like the brotherhood of the police does not protect its own, even when its own is wrong, do two things. First, watch the Floyd video where cops protected that murderer while he was murdering Floyd. While he was murdering George Floyd, what was happening? Other cops were running crowd interference for 8 minutes and 46 seconds while he murdered that man.
Yeah.
So that is protecting, that is literally a group of cops protecting the bad cops. So you can't bad apple that shit.
Sure.
And then watch that video of this 75-year-old protester that got shoved and fucking head clunked and hurt real badly. And what happened immediately after that? 57 people asked to be reassigned in solidarity off that squad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They didn't look at the actions of their brothers and say like, that was fucked up. You fucking basically threw a 75-year-old man like down onto the fucking concrete and then like callously walked past him.
Then a guy tries to lean down to help him and he grabs the guy and moves him along. He literally moved him like, no, you're not going to hold him. And he's fucking bleeding out his ear. Oh my God, the back and forth that has been happening about how that's faked. And you're just like, the dude had a bloody ear. He somehow tricked these cops into pushing him backwards, and then he flopped like a soccer player and then hit the blood pack that then spilled out his ear, but he somehow still wound up in the hospital with a concussion and a brain hemorrhage.
It's not like one or two cops stood in solidarity. All the cops stood in solidarity of that action.
Yeah.
So like, you can't bad apple that shit.
Yeah.
You don't get to bad apple it because we just keep seeing it.
Yeah.
We just keep seeing example after example of the like the thing you just played, you know, the police union guy standing up and saying like, you know, why don't we get any respect around here? Huh? Bada boom, bada bing, bada boom. Like, what are you saying? We're violent? I'm going to beat the shit out of you for saying that we're violent.
I hit my wife every time she says I'm violent. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's like...
My God, if you tell me that, I'll smack you in the fucking mouth.
Did you see Trump's tweet about that 75-year-old protester?
Oh, we got to talk about that.
One thing I have a confession to make, Tom.
Yeah.
And this may come as a surprise to some people in the audience, but I'm the leader of Antifa, and I didn't want it to come out on the show. I didn't want people to tell people that. I'm actually... I'm actually just the North American vice president of operations. I'm not the leader.
I'm comptroller.
I'm not the leader. I'm just the vice president, North American operations. President, of course, is Betty White. But still, I want to say I was very dismayed when they threw one of our members on the ground. And he's a high-ranking, he's a regional officer. I don't know if you knew this. That guy's a regional Antifa officer. Yeah,
it's amazing how well structured those are.
Really, I will say our Zoom calls are a little hectic, but other than that, I think we do a pretty good job. But he's a great guy. He's an anarchist, just like we are. Black bloc, really good guy, and hates the police. Fuck the police. He has a fucking NWA tattoo on his chest. You can't see it in that video, but he's a fuck the police guy. So yeah. So I just wanted to make that confession that I am the leader of Antifa, and I don't apologize for it.
Best,
I don't apologize it.
You know,
yeah, people come to me and I have to be quiet about who they are. That's all of Antifa.
Yeah. I'm actually key grip for Antifa.
Key grip. That's good.
Yeah, I don't want anyone tripping and
we needed
falling.
a key grip to pick that guy up off the ground. Jesus Christ. Well, the president literally called him. So the president says, and I want to read the tweet out loud because it's...
Yeah, let's not decontextualize the tweet, right?
I definitely want to give Mr. Trump, the president, the benefit of the doubt. Buffalo protester shoved by police could be Antifa provocateur. 75-year-old Martin Gungio was pushed away after appearing to scan police communications in order to black out the equipment. And then he's tweeting at One America News, and he says, I watched, he fell harder than he was pushed, was aiming a scanner, could be a setup, ? And it's, okay, first off, what? Let's just talk. Let's presume the president is 100% right. He had a fucking a James Bond 007 fucking hacker fucking phone in his hand. He wasn't just trying to walk up and return a police helmet that he had in his hand and have a phone that he was probably recording the police with a few seconds ago. That's, Occam's razor would say that's what he had in his hand. But let's just presume that what he was doing was
probably got a scanner from Q.
Was walking up with this crazy fucking blackout, because, they're saying he's trying to scan police communications in order to black out equipment. Let's first off, you can scan police communications with a $30 scanner. You don't need anything special.
On your phone.
You don't need anything special. But two, blackout police communications. Is he going to somehow make it so the guy next to him can't tell him to push him down? What communications do you need? They're all standing literally next to each other. The only danger is one of them's going to whisper something into the other's ear, and it's going to be different when it gets out the other end. That's the only fucking threat. What are you talking about?
Captain says purple monkey dishwasher. I'm not sure. Probably didn't. We gotta go backwards now.
Yeah,
okay,
we gotta go back.
Purple monkey dishwasher. We'll get back to the original.
Let's go back, yeah.
We'll get back. Trump is. So this just demonstrates how fucking old and out of touch Trump is, because he still thinks that they're jamming the signal. You know what I mean? It's like some World War II shit where it's like, whoa, they're on a frequency. We gotta shoot out our frequency jammer. It's like the fucking cops are just. You can buy a scanner and just tune into it.
Yeah.
That's what you can do.
And the cops
Anyone can do that at any time.
They're radio controlled. I don't understand what he's at. What are you talking about? They're people who sometimes hear something on a radio. Who cares? They already have their orders. Beat the shit out of people. They've already got those.
Right.
Yeah.
Swoop in and attack. That's okay, well, that was the plan to begin with. Have you seen our bat belts?
Yeah, exactly. Nobody was going to call an audible on that. That's for sure. So I don't even understand.
That explains why I'm dressed like this, I guess.
Genuinely I don't even get it. None of it makes sense, but everybody's retweeting it. And I will say this, if this ever, because I went to this tweet and there was a picture of Trump standing behind two fucking soldiers, and it's one of those where half his face is in shadow, and it's one of those really dramatic black and white photos of him where he's looking very regal and stately and really masculine. And they took a photo of it, and one of these idiots puts up our president or whatever. And if you ever have the feeling man, I kind of want to see what this guy posts on his feed, I'm just going to tell you, just don't do it. Don't do it, because it's not worth reading the absolute bonkers shit that people post on Twitter. I mean, Twitter is a hole where you could just shit on your phone, take a shit on your phone and people will retweet it. I could not believe the rabbit holes I worked myself down just looking at this tweet alone. But it's one of those things that you get to a point where you think, this has got to be against the rules, though, right? I know that he pushes the rules all the time, but there's got to be something there that says you can't just tweet out a baseless conspiracy as the president of the United States, right? Right?
The thing is, you would think that would be the case. You would think that there'd be some controls that even the members of his own party would be like, what? We can't govern by conspiracy theory? What the fucking, what are you even... Yeah. But I read not one, but two stories this week that reporters from major news outlets tried to get commentary from
senators,
congresspeople, everybody, please comment on this. And they went so far as to print the tweet out and show it to people, because other times the president would say, tweet out crazy fucking shit, just
and they'll
insane
say they don't know
shit.
It. Yeah.
And they'd be like, oh, I don't read his tweets. And you're like, first of all, he announces major public policy decisions and hirings and firings by tweets. So if you're in government, it's kind of your job to read what the fucking boss says
Yeah,
in a
right.
communication
Sure.
that includes explicit public policy declarations not to be found elsewhere,
Yeah.
by the way.
Yeah.
He just tweets out public policy decisions that he doesn't like otherwise elaborate upon.
Right.
He's done like a jillion times. So like, that's a weird thing to say out loud. Like, I don't pay attention at work. You know, I don't know. I was at work the other day and I was like, woo, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I was jerking off in the men's room for like 4 hours Thursday. You know what I mean? Like I edged myself forward and back for like half the workday.
Well,
Holy
I didn't.
shit.
I'm Lady G, and I had a male prostitute do it, but still, I did get off.
But then they came back and said, okay, well, we printed it out. And people were like, I have other things to do.
Yep.
And they just declined. They were just like, I don't, Senator Cruz, Ted Cruz said something like, I have a long-standing policy of not commenting on his tweets. And it's like, well, you could break that policy. That's just a personal decision.
exactly.
Like, that's not like, oh my God, if I do it, like
Yeah.
I turn into a pumpkin. That's what happens. It's so weird.
Yeah, no, absolutely within your power. And you get to a point where you say, okay, how deep can you hide your head in the sand as a Republican and not look at this and say, because this isn't just some rando saying, well, I'm just asking questions. This is a guy with the full weight of the United States government behind him, tweeting out something baseless that he could easily get facts on, that he has an entire wing of the government he could send and say, I want to find out where that guy's from, what he did, yada, yada. He could find anything out he wants. All that information is literally available to him at his fingertips. It's not that this isn't a powerless individual on Twitter that has no chance of understanding this, right? Yeah. He has every resource you could possibly imagine to get to the bottom of exactly what happened to that man. And he's chosen not to do it and instead tweet out what he thinks he saw in a 60-second video. And that is unbelievably dangerous to be leading your nation that way. I don't know how you do it.
You cannot be hyperbolic enough about how insane that tweet was. I read it and like, I'm not even kidding. My jaw dropped.
Yep.
I was like, wait, police blocking.
I thought for sure it was
I've seen
fake.
more believable narratives watching an episode of Paw Patrol than this.
What
are you kidding me?
I thought it was a fake tweet when I saw it come across. I thought, somebody's tweeting that, ha ha ha. And then I looked at his feed and I thought, holy shit, I cannot believe this. I can't believe he's just saying, I just can't.
We should not believe this.
Hey everybody, just because we're socially distancing doesn't mean we can't get physical. Creatively, of course. Now, Adam and Eve says the best part of staying at home is playing at home. Take advantage of the downtime and choose almost any one item at 50% off. When you do, you'll also get free shipping, delivered discreetly right to your door. Just remember to use offer code GLORY, that's GLORY at checkout. A&E has thousands of products to make you glad you are staying at home. Sex toys make being at home so enjoyable. Hell, even shopping from home is more enjoyable when you're shopping sex toys. Go to adamandeve.com and use that offer code GLORY at checkout. Tell them Gary sent you. Or don't. That's not an offer code. The offer code is GLORY. Don't put Gary. Just GLORY. GLORY.
You don't put Gary.
Shit, is that confusing? It's GLORY.
Yeah, it's confusing. But it's offer code GLORY. GLORY. Bye-bye.
I must say, the idea of placing my member into this hole to be pleasured by some mystery woman has me excited, yes, but also pretty nervous. Here we go. So far, nothing to report.
All right, so this story comes from IFL Science. I fucking love science. New York City just recommended using glory holes in latest pandemic sex advice. Now, lest you think that this is a misreading of the actual advice given by the New York City Health Department, I can fucking assure you that it is not, because I actually chased this story down a little bit. But I want to read what it says. So the worry, just the overarching worry is like, hey, sex is like a natural, normal part of our lives. We need this fucking COVID shit is going on and on. People need to be able to express themselves and have sexual expression with other people. It's tough to do safely, right? Like one of the things they're like, wear a mask. And I'm like, I'm not covering my mouth having sex. Like that takes all the, like, I'm not, you're not, we're not. Like that's not, we're not, hey, you know, whatever floats, right? So, but then again, like New York City is saying, hey, quote, make it a little kinky. Be creative with sexual positions and physical barriers like walls.
You cannot spell that out any differently than.
That's a glory hole.
Yeah, no, that's cut a hole in the box, put your dick in the box. That's what that is. Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing like combine that though. I was thinking like, what's the ultimate like expression of 2020? And that's like a glory hole in a riot shield. And you've got 2020 just like, boom, just like right there. It solves all your problems.
Jesus Christ,
you know, it addresses all the current issues of the day. It's like hip and on trend.
I'll tell you what, though, if you put a glory hole in a riot shield, there's so many people on the right that would suck that dick immediately.
Oh my God.
God damn. The Law and Order crowd would let it fucking, they would just let it pour onto them.
Shaking in my eyes.
Jesus Christ. You gotta find, no kidding, right? They just like fill it up like a cup. They wouldn't even give a shit. I will say though, man, fucking trailblazers that we are. We knew ahead of time that glory holes would be possible. We were ahead of the curve.
Ahead of the curve.
We won't be ahead of the curve when it comes to COVID, but the rest of it will be ahead of the curve.
We're not flattening the curve.
Yeah,
we're just in front of it.
We're just in front of it. We're riding the wave. Riding the wave, baby.
And now, Rage with the Machine for Republicans. Thank Will. Thank Will. Thank Will. Thank Will. Ayn Rand is awesome.
So, Cecil, I just want to talk about this one. There's not a lot to say except for just to say it, which is amazing. Independent.co.uk says, right-wing fans mocked for boycotting Rage Against the Machine after realizing the band's political stance.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever been as late to a very, very obvious party as these motherfuckers.
These guys are also very upset that Ice Cube was black. Rage He's black? Machine. Are you kidding me? He's a black man?
What machine did you think they were raging against?
That's such a great one. Someone said in one of the tweets, what machine did you think they were raging against? The dishwasher? Yeah, Rage Against the Machine.
Do you remember to one lyric?
Do you remember back in the day when they got pulled off of, I think it was Saturday Night Live, because they came out on stage and they had a fucking upside down American flag and they were just like, cut the film. Now we're good. Cut. And all they did was add an upside down American flag. And let me tell you, that's the least amount of damage they've done to an American flag in any of their performances. Like these are guys who burn the flag on stage. Are you kidding me?
These guys, like, I remember I don't remember which album it was, but the album cover that had like the burning monk, like the protesting burning monk, like, and like these guys are like, oh, now you get political. It's like, what are you talking about? Literally every single thing. And like, I do want to read one tweet from one of the band members. One Twitter user said, I used to be a fan until your political opinions came out. Music is my sanctuary. And the last thing I want to hear is political bullshit when I'm listening to music.
I love this so much.
And I love this. He says, as far as I'm concerned, you and Pink are completely done. I thought that was great because it's like, I'm not sure how worried Rage Against the Machine is about like their association with Pink, but still.
I love too that like this guy's playlist is Rage Against the Machine and Pink.
Keep running your mouth and ruining your fan base. So Tom Morello responds, Scott, what music of mine were you a fan of that didn't contain political BS? I need to know so I can delete it from the catalog.
No, there's a better one where he responds. I'm gonna read it. He says, another successful musician instantly becomes a political expert. And Tom Morello replies, one does not have to have an honors grad in political science from Harvard University to recognize the unethical and inhumane nature of the administration. But, well, I happen to have an honors grad in political science from Harvard University. so I can confirm that for you. Fuck you. It's so good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God.
Oh man. What it made me do is find all those albums in my playlist and start listening to them again this week when I heard and saw that he was tweeting about this sort of thing. It reminded me about their band, and I said, "Oh yeah, I really did like that band." And so I have all their stuff that I'm listening to again because I liked their band before. It's just something that you go through natural cycles with music where they drop off. But absolutely. But I'm absolutely listening to it again because it's great shit.
Poplar in your mouth when you come to Fishy Joe's. What they're made of is a mystery. Where they come from, no one knows. You can pick them, you can lick them, you can chew them, you can stick them. If you promise not to sue us, you can shove one up your nose.
So this story comes from KATC.com. That's a local news affiliate, an ABC affiliate in Acadiana, wherever that is. Breaux Bridge Police looking for a rooster wanted in nugget theft. I read this and I thought, this chicken better be on the run here pretty soon. All right, you're going to beat the shit out of him. The Breaux Bridge Police Department is asking the community to be on the lookout for a theft suspect accused of a foul crime.
Oh, come on now.
So bad.
Shit,
police say they were notified on Thursday of a theft that occurred involving a rooster. When they arrived, they discovered an innocent toddler enjoying chicken nuggets. The rooster approached the toddler, took his chicken nuggets, and fled the scene. The child's mother attempted to stop the rooster, but was unsuccessful.
No, she wasn't. She's taking a picture of it. Fuck you. Oh, it's so good. There's a picture, the three pictures of this. There's a toddler sitting there, the toddler's sad, and the chicken with the nugget in its mouth running away. The chicken walks up, looks at the kid, and is like, Tom, is that you? No, Tom, no! And then grabs the nugget and runs away and buries it in a shallow grave.
It is a fucked up thing I thought today it's a fucked up thing for a fucking chicken to steal. It's wait a minute. It's Jeffrey Dahmer's you gonna finish that?
Italian Spider-Man.
Ragazzi, che belle melone.
Rispetti le donne.
Grazie, Italian Spider-Man.
Shut your mouth, pussycat, e farmi un macchiato. Pronto.
All right, Cecil, I love this story for 9 reasons. This comes from News Star. Naked man in West Monroe gas station says spider attacked him. I just got to read this because it's short, and then this is amazing. A Monroe man is facing a disturbing to peace drunkenness charge after he was allegedly naked in a West Monroe gas station. According to an arrest report for Jesse Dearman Jr., age 29, WMPD officers were dispatched to 300 Well Road regarding a naked man inside the store. When officers arrived, deputies had the man in custody. He identified himself. That's confusing. When officers arrived, deputies had the man in custody.
And then the sheriff came, and then he asked how it all went down. Prison warden was also standing nearby. How many different people do you need?
A naked man? Yeah. God, what can you imagine if it was a naked woman? Everybody in fucking Indiana or wherever this would be there. He identified himself as Jesse Dearman and said he was naked because he was attacked by a spider and removed his clothes for safety. This is the best. Officers said they asked Dearman if he had taken any controlled dangerous substances. Dearman replied he had, but did not know what it was. On a scale of 1 to 10 ranking its power, he said it was a 4. You have lived a fucking life when you are standing handcuffed naked in a police station after being attacked by imaginary spiders, and people are like, are you on drugs? And you're like, yeah, but only mild ones.
Yeah, only mild ones that I don't know what they were.
It's I'll tell you what, brother, when you're at an 8 or a 9, whoa, it's a lot worse than naked in a gas station covered in imaginary.
He's like, no, when I'm at a 9, I'm throwing bears off of me, not spiders. Yeah, it's totally different time.
I'm not eating a man's face right now, okay? Clearly I'm under a 6.
Oh my God.
I don't know what it is. What do you got?
Yeah, like what is he? Is he just sitting there like opening his mouth and someone's throwing Skittles in it from across the room? What is
Just
happening in
injecting
your
him with
life? Yeah. There's somebody just like, hey, try this. What is it? I don't know. Cool. Oh, Jesus.
Oh, fuck.
So I who wouldn't though tear off their clothes though if they thought they had a spider in there? I mean, seriously, who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't just rip your, oh my God, and just like tear your shirt off? If you had like something in your shirt, you know you would do that instantly.
Oh,
right?
I'd fucking flip.
Yeah.
It's either that or you stop, drop, and roll in the hope to just smush it against you.
So I have a spider story. Years ago, I was in the woods and it was a pretty thick woods, and I had brought it's hard to say it's a machete. It was a big knife, right? It wasn't like a machete in the sense, machete kind of is its own thing, right? A machete's a thin blade with that sort of rounded at the end. This one did still have kind of a tip on it, but it was more like a giant Bowie knife. So it looked like a Bowie knife, but it was big. It was goddamn big. And I don't know how big Bowie knives get, but this one had to be.
Would it have been approved by the Australian Council if that ain't a knife?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it certainly wouldn't be. I'll tell you, it was definitely a knife. It was easily as big as the knife that guy pulls in that movie, in that Crocodile Dundee movie. And so I'm walking through and I'm chopping at trees to get through this area of the brush to get back to this area of the forest that I was going to. And I don't know if I wasn't by myself. I had one other person with me. And as I'm going, I feel something on my leg. And I look down, and there's a fucking spider on me, Tom, that's gotta be, it's like fucking, maybe I'm misremembering the size of it, but the legs had gotta be like the bottom of a big glass. So,
oh, Jesus.
A big fucking spider. And now I don't want to get people like weirded out or like think that I was in some kind of danger, because we don't live in a place where there's big poisonous spiders. No. Big spiders by us, if they bite you, it'll probably be like a bee sting or something. I know that there are a few spiders that hide in very specific places that can really fuck you up in our area. But those are rare spiders. You don't run into the black widow and the brown recluse very often here. And those are the main ones that you would run into. This is just like a big wolf spider or something, right?
Yeah,
so it's not a big
scary looking, not actually scary.
Yeah, it looks fucking terrifying. Right. And as soon as I saw it, it's fucking right on my calf, right? So it's right on my calf. I'm wearing shorts. It's right on my calf. And so I immediately tense up and I turn and I go to hit the thing with the side of the blade. And so I go to smack at it with the side of the blade, and it was a spasm because there's a giant spider on me. And so the blade turns just a little bit, and I fucking gashed the fuck out of my leg. I still have a giant fucking cut on my leg, like a big scar. I had to cut my shirt and tie it around the wound and hop out of, because it was bleeding bad. It was bleeding it was seriously needed stitches. It was that big. I didn't get stitches, but it definitely needed them.
Yeah, right.
And it was fucking huge. I mean, I would say it had to be at least 2.5 inches long. I cut a giant divot out of my leg with this. And all I did was just turn it sideways with my right hand. It was on my left leg. And I went to go smack it just to kill it. And I instead almost cut my leg off.
All right, so the most important part of the story, did you get the spider?
I don't know, because as soon as I cut myself, I stopped worrying about the spider. The spider was only important until I actually cut myself, and then there was something way more important.
Because, like, what I love is, like, if you had gotten the spider, that also means that you would have pressed him deep into your leg wound.
Smashed him into my leg wound. Yeah. No, that's good shit.
Get in my body, spider! I'll make you a home inside of me.
The next week, all the eggs break, and all the spiders pour out of the scab or whatever. Oh, I just had everybody turn off the podcast. That's awesome.
That's it. We're done.
So we want to thank our patrons. Of course, we want to thank all our patrons. We want to thank our newest patrons, Aaron, host of the Interesting If True podcast, Polamint, Mark, Philip, Doom, Carlos, Kyle, Yardbird or Egg, Taylor, Michael, Gavin, Soft Whisper, Andrew, RB, and the people who up their patrons, Rob, Spiffy Seawolf, JD from Montana, Dakota. I became a patron to watch Tom build a PC by himself. Ryan, Suzanne.
It's going to be so hard.
And Dodd Snow. Thank you so much for your generous donations. We really do truly appreciate it in this time where our jobs are in flux and the times are difficult. It is nice to know that people are supporting our show. So we want to thank you so much. It gives us peace of mind and it helps us helps alleviate our fears and helps us create better. So thank you so much for all of your generous donations. We really do truly appreciate it.
Yeah, guys, it means the world to us. Everything is so uncertain. And like, just knowing that like, I can honestly like knowing that like, I'm going to be able to keep the lights on makes a huge difference.
Huge difference.
When so many other things are less stable than that. So I'm grateful to all of you guys.
So we got a message from John and a bunch of people mentioned this, that while there's no, they couldn't think of any superheroes that used capes that fly. There is Doctor Strange, whose cape is animate. That's one. But also someone had posted Greatest American Hero, and I guess the whole outfit was what made him a superhero. So the cape included was the thing that made him a superhero.
I forgot about that show.
So that's one.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
one.
And I'll be the first to admit, like, I'm not a comic book guy. Yeah. So like, if I'm certain
but
that
you
I
are a Greatest American Hero guy. So
believe it or not,
I'm walking on air.
I don't remember that show except for the theme song, and I loved the theme song. I loved it.
So we got a message from Todd with 3 Ds, and he said, he sent us a message, and it's an article of people protesting in North Dakota. They were out, and it was a small protest. He said it was a pretty small protest of, black people, because there's like 4 in North Dakota, and they all went out to go do the Black Lives Matter. But there was a bunch.
The one family shows up.
But there was a bunch of fucking armed hillbillies on the other side.
Yeah.
Not hillbillies, whatever they call them up there, but a bunch of armed people on the other side, because they thought Antifa was going to pour out of the fucking woodwork and burn everything down. And then they showed up to a peaceful protest. I did see a couple of images of them hugging afterwards, but he said, man, that's got to take guts to be a protester up there. And you're absolutely right. When these nutbags bring their fucking semi-automatic weapons out there.
Oh, fucking right. That'd be terribly intimidating.
And that's what it's for. That's the reason they brought it.
That's the point of it. Yeah.
We did get a lot of good messages about last week's show. We mentioned on the stream this week that we were sort of shocked that we didn't get more hate mail, but I think we've called our audience away from anybody at this point who doesn't think that we are left and social justice minded and, trans rights. They've left at this point. So they've gone. They're gone. They stopped listening because when they send us hate mail, we don't respond or we delete them. And so they're just done. They don't listen anymore. So we didn't get a lot of bad email last time. I thought for sure there were going to be some people who would push back, but I think we've lost a lot of the people who would be more centrist. So at this point, we got a lot of good messages. One of them was from John, and he said he really enjoyed the last episode, and he could really tell that there was a lot of passion in our voices. And we were both upset I listened to it again, and when I was actually listening to it, proofing it, I was like, God, man, we are fucking shouting a lot. Because we just, the whole time we were angry. Yeah. Our blood was up the whole time, and we were both Tom and I, both of us were just like that guy on Anchorman. Why is everybody shouting? We got a message from Kathleen, and they said that they did send us a message. A couple people sent this. There was some demands that they found called Campaign Zero, join Campaign Zero. And I followed this link, and I got to say, this is a little bit too far right for me. This join Campaign Zero felt a little too soft. The problem is that the defund the police movement is, I think, farther left and a better movement than this one. This one, in my opinion, feels a little weak. And they go through a bunch of stuff that is basically police reform, but I feel like, and it's not that I don't want that. It's not that I wouldn't want that. If my choice is what you have now or this Campaign Zero, I would take Campaign Zero. But if my choice is anything I want, it's defund the police.
Yeah, it's funny because like I read this and I thought, great, that's what you need to do for the military, like you said earlier, the military arm of the police. All of those things are necessary. And then you need to do these other things so that you're not using the police to perform non-military functions.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Non-paramilitary
That's
functions.
exactly it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got an image. This is from Aaron, and he sent an image, and we're going to post it on this week's show notes. It's a Maury Povich image. We got a message from Ringing Rocks Ranch, and they said, I would love to hear folks talking about the police training. I work for a State Department of Justice, and they spend a fair amount of time at our law enforcement academy. What we hear is the most dehumanizing language. They only talk about perpetrator, suspect, and threat. So nothing about fellow human or someone's son or daughter.
Yeah, and it's important. Like anytime you use language that creates distance, that creates formality and distance, then that's a way to create an otherization of the people that you're policing, right? And like that's exactly, and we know how important language is in terms of shaping how we think and how we feel and how we respond. So it's funny because language is both reflective of what we think, but it is also a way to shape the way that young people think, the way that people coming up in the ranks think, the way that people within a certain culture or group or body think. So like it is not an exaggeration to look at this language and say, this is incredibly important. It's indicative of what is being taught, and it's indicative of the otherization of the people that are being policed by this paramilitary organization.
I mean, remember when we got our concealed carries, that guy was talking about perpetrators. And both of us were like, what are you talking about?
Perpetrator doesn't make sense. I'm not a cop.
Doesn't mean anything to me. I know there's no perpetrator. Got a message from Anthony correcting me from last week. When I read it wrong. His grandmother was not in World War II. His grandfather fought in World War II. That's my mistake. I was reading very quickly. I apologize.
Oops.
Got a long message from Daryl. And Daryl's a police officer, got into the PD at 32. Sounds like they got in for all the right reasons. Sounds like they do a lot of the right things. De-escalation, not trying to escalate situations, not trying to move things towards violence. Read this, and your assessment of the way you handle stuff is, I think, the way in which I would hope that many police officers approach their job. At the bottom of it, you do say, what would you say to a brand new group of recruits, people who just got out of the police academy? What would you say? And what would you say to them? And I will tell you, what I would say to them is, look around at everybody here. Do not protect anybody here who does wrongdoing. Anybody who does wrongdoing here is doing something wrong and needs to be reported. And they need to have disciplinary action brought against them. Do not protect people who do bad things. Whether that's people out in the street that you're trying to arrest or people that are in your own department, never protect those people. They are bad people.
We talked about this before the show, and I was stymied. I'm not going to lie, man. I was stymied. Right now, I can't imagine having to stand in front of a group of recruits.
Yeah.
Going into this culture and give them any kind of advice, and not having ever done that work. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. But Cecil, I think you hit it. Like, I mean, that's why we decided to talk about this email. I think it's like, man, you guys are the police for your other police too. Like if the law matters, if it matters to you, then it matters for everybody. Like that includes your buddy sitting next to you and like your boss up the stream. Like it's everybody.
Yeah, and you know, the thing is I know it's natural for you to be around another person and to know that person well, and then they do something that is bad, and for you to think about all the good stuff that they did that might, you know, counteract that or whatever. And maybe that's natural. But I will say this, you should be holding yourself in a higher regard than anyone else because you're the one in the power. You're the one with the power in this situation. So you need to be very careful about how you handle that. And how you handle it is with extreme caution and with extreme oversight. Because if you're not paying attention to how you are and how all your people around you are, it's easy to slip and it's easy to hurt people because you are in a position that can easily do it. So we got a message from Holly. And this is
the best thing ever.
This is a new bumper that they want us to play. So I'm just going to play it. I haven't listened to it yet.
Yes. Black Lives Matter, defund the police. I find it disgusting that the LAPD is slaughtering peaceful protesters on the street. I had two friends go to the protest in Beverly Hills a couple of days ago, and the protest was peaceful. And so the police showed up with their excessive violent force, shooting rubber bullets and throwing tear gas. Is this what you think of protecting and serving? Because I think it's bullshit. Fuck you, Michael Moore. I refuse to call you an officer or a chief because you don't deserve those titles. You are a disgrace. Suck my dick and choke on it. I yield my time. Fuck you.
Thank you. One generic.
Was that real?
That's
was
totally
that a real
real
thing?
I heard that on John Oliver yesterday, and I was like, like John Oliver calls it like the most perfect 30 seconds ever. It's so great.
It's amazing.
I love he's like,
genuinely
they could fucking choke on it. I yield my time.
I love it so much. I yield my time. That's
and then
so
he
good.
adds fuck you to the end of it. It's so great.
So good. So good.
It's so good.
We get message on occasion from people who will tell us that they have to stop becoming patrons, and Greg sent a message to tell us that he was sorry that he has to stop. You don't ever have to apologize.
No.
We thank you for your patronage, period. There's no condition on that. We don't expect anything after that. The longer you become a patron, the more we are grateful. And we love you for it, but you don't ever have to send us a message and say you're sorry, because we don't. You've helped us, and you've been a patron, and you've made sure this show is possible. We hope that your situation gets great, and maybe one day you come back as a patron, and we will welcome you back. But any support you've given us, we thank you for. So that is going to wrap it up for this week. We're sorry it's two serious, real super serious shows, but we're hoping next week it's just COVID so we can have fun with squirrels or something.
I'm hoping we can just get back to the pandemic. That is...
That would be great, wouldn't it?
God.
We had a really fun stream this week. We talked about a little bit about some anger stuff. We got a little angry on the stream about internet people outing other people. But then we also did a adorable story on squirrels that you're going to want to check out. So check that.
And we watched a video of hamsters eating tiny burritos.
So you're going to want to check out the stream. If you haven't checked them out yet, it's a lot of fun. We're having a great time. Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Central. Come check it out. There's a YouTube spot open for people to come hang out. So if you want to get there a little early, there's a community there that you could chat with. And we go live at 9. It normally goes for about an hour. So come check us out. We're having a lot of fun. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to chat with you. We do interact with chat throughout. So we'd love to interact with you. So come on along. That is going to wrap it up for this week. We're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno-Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi-alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, water downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards, vaccine nuts, shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
The opinions and information provided on this podcast are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of Glory Hole Studios, LLC. Cognitive Dissonance makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, currentness, suitability, or validity of any information, and will not be liable for any errors, damages, or butthurt arising from consumption. All information is provided on an as-is basis. No refunds. Produced in association with the local Dairy Council and viewers like you.